Hi friends, have you ever struggled on a hike? I recently went to a backpacking trip where I hiked for 8 miles without shade. To me, it was a big challenge, but luckily I had three friends. So, if you have been struggling on a hike, you've been there, done that. Today, let's talk about struggles in a hike. First of all, as a result, I was the slowest among the group. And the funny part is that I was the person who go to gym the most frequently. That really reminds me of the book Anti-Fragile, where the author says that training in the gym is totally a different world of training a street fight. The gym itself provides a controlled, measured, and predictable training environment, whereas a street fight can have lots of randomness. It can be a mess uncontrolled. It doesn't have a pause button. Once you're there, you have to fight or die. In this case, my gym is also a training ground, whereas the hike is a street fight. There was no pause button. I have to complete the trail. Also, I do have learned that training in the gym doesn't directly translate to skills like hiking or a street fight. Another thing I really want to talk about are the views, because honestly, that was the reason why we came to the hike for the first place. I definitely had imagined the breathtaking views of endless ocean, green hills, and postcard perfect scenery. But reality is the grass was dry and the hills were dull. And most of the time we couldn't see the ocean while we were hiking. It was just a bright, dry grass and dusty mountain trail. So it really made me think back to New York. While I was in New York, I could easily walk for 30,000 steps a day without even realizing it is 30,000 steps. Why? Because every few blocks, there are something interesting. It is either a bagel shop or a new library or coffee shop. My mind was occupied and entertained all the time, so I never even felt the struggle. However, looking back at this hiking trip, even though I probably walk the same amount, even less amount of walk, I felt every step was a struggle. On every step, I was waiting for it to be over. So I kept thinking about the hike. The New York 30,000 steps were easy. Gym was relatively easy for me. But this hike, it was a huge challenge. What are the difference? In the gym, everything was structured. I was doing HIIT, so I know that if I survive for the next 10 minutes, I can take a break. There was a rhythm there. In New York, it's the same, but in a different way, in that every few blocks, there are something interesting that occupies my mind or entertain me. However, this hike, there was none of that. There were no breaks, no milestones, and no surprises. Just the dry grass, dusty ground, and the endless trail. Nowhere to rest until we arrive at the destination. And I think that is why it was so unbearable, because it felt endless. There was no sense of progress, because all you can see is dry grass. There was no periodical reward along the way either. Nothing, just struggle. And that really made me reflect. Sometimes it's not the physical difficulty, it is a mental checkpoint. If you're entertained or if you see reward and progress along the way, you are more likely to persist and complete. Anyways, since I'm here, I have survived. The thing is, on the first half of the trail, I wasn't accepting the reality. I was talking negatively to myself. Like, why did I decide to go to the backpacking trip? Why did I decide to join the hike? Why did I even choose the trail? Why don't I go back in the beginning? I was struggling not only physically, but mentally. But after a while, I realized that I have no way but continue hiking. I began accepting my reality, essentially realized that there's nothing I can do except for hiking at that time. I just couldn't quit. I have three friends going with me and I can't let them down, especially I can't be a trouble during a backpacking trip. So with that, I eventually complete the trail. I still regret the trip on my way back, but after I came back, I felt so much better. On my reflection, I feel like humans do need hardship, but only the right types of hardship that strengthen your body and soul. That's it. Thank you for watching and hope you also struggle well.